So one of the things that I am so thrilled to be with the two of you is you two have helped hundreds and hundreds of people. I have no idea how many people have benefited from your work to help them. And I would think that that would help you maintain your desire to to live a healthy life and to be free. Has that really been the way it's been? Am I just assuming that, Chris and Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's totally surreal to me, and I don't know an exact number. I hope it's substantial at this point, but yeah, it's one of those things where when I'm having coffee in the morning, watching the sunrise, this is facing somewhat east, so it's a great place to be in the morning. The dogs come in. I got two rescues, little pit bull mixes who are basically stuffed animals, and they hang out, and I'm sipping my coffee, and I'm thinking, what a contrast from when I used to work in a job that wasn't for me. I'm not going to put down finance. I have friends who are cut out for finance. I'm not. I'm not very good in a lot of things. I don't hear well, actually. If I were a waiter, I would get fired. I would mess up people's orders. So it's totally surreal to me that I even have a career, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is that it's not about me at all, which really takes off a lot of pressure, because back then it was about me and about me counting beans, and essentially what I was doing in a glamorous way. And it was stressful. And now I get to think, well, at least I get to have peace with the universe. I feel a sense of alignment with the cosmos. I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I can kind of get into a flow state and try to live in the space of intention, as Wayne Dyer used to say. Matt Finch recommended his book. It might be called Intention. It's the Power of Intention. And I've been reading that. I like to read a good self-help book every now and then to stay energized. So it's a process for sure. But at the end of the day, there's so much alignment when you're helping other people. I think, a lot of people are successful. And I've had a lot of clients, private coaching clients with huge amounts of money, and they'll throw it at the problem. And that's fine to start with. But if you don't have fulfillment, which you can only get, in my opinion, by helping other people, then you're missing out. And so I think there are all of these metrics of success and happiness that I was obsessed with before I quit drinking, where, at the time, if you'd ask me, what does success look like? I'd say I'd be on a beach drinking a margarita, with millions and billions and trillions of dollars in the bank, and wouldn't have a care in the world. And the reality of the situation is, even if I had achieved that, my liver would be having a hard time. I'd have brain fog. I wouldn't even if I had $1 trillion in the bank, I wouldn't be able to go get a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning and feel good, unless I put a bunch of Irish cream or whatever in there, and then had to go home and take a nap, and, just have horrible sense of, very bad sense of well-being. So at this point, I'm just extremely grateful. I think I'm sorry for this long-winded answer, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I have fulfillment doing what I do. And it's totally surreal to me, as I said.
No, I just wanted to, I just appreciate that question so much, John, because absolutely, like, having my YouTube channel and, just being able to help others, like Chris said, like, it gave me such purpose and meaning in life where, I never had that before in my different career paths either. And so I totally agree 100% with what you said, Chris, about helping others is where we get our most fulfillment, whether you're a mother or a volunteer or your career allows you to do that. I think that's such an important component. I read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and that just, while I was on the Sinclair Method, and that really like hit home for me about the importance of having meaning in our life and purpose. And I can genuinely say, for nearly 10 years when I was struggling with alcohol, like, I didn't really have that. And so if we don't have that meaning or purpose or direction, it's so easy to stay stuck in the alcohol trap. Did you have meaning before that, Chris, or fulfillment or hobbies, or was drinking your hobby?
It was very odd, because I had very close friends who some of them are still my best friends to this day. Now, I had a lot of drinking buddies who I had to dispense with, but I say that because I think the closest thing I had to meaning before was those relationships. And I still believe, the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. So that meant something. But apart from those friendships, which were very deep, and I've always had a great relationship with my parents, I'm adopted, and that's a whole nother thing, but I always felt lucky and like there had to be a purpose to life, but I had no idea what mine was. And like you, I was starting to accept the alcoholic label. When you were talking about that before, it occurred to me that one night I was researching on Google, you know, what if I drink too much? You know, all these things that maybe we type in, how much is too much? Trying to find countries where the drinking guidelines were higher. So maybe I could like move there and be normal. And that's actually what gave me the impetus to start a blog at some point, because I was like, those search results suck, and I want to make something that's more informative for people. But back then I was like, you know what, maybe I'm just an alcoholic. My purpose in life is to suffer. Who knows? And maybe I get a fleeting high at the end of each day. Maybe that's good enough. That was all I had in terms of purpose. And then the material things that I didn't get to that point. I mean, I was still in my 20s when I quit finance. And, you know, I was looking at all of these people who were somewhat role models making ridiculous sums of money. And I thought, well, maybe when I get there, I'll figure it out, which is the classic fallacy when you're trying to, you know, define your own happiness. So it was really, in retrospect, the scariest thing I ever did was quit drinking and enroll in that detox center, because I knew it would mean that the people at my job would not have me back. And that's exactly what happened. But at the same time, it was the most important thing I ever did, because it simplified everything. It stripped away all of the superfluous elements of my life so that I could finally start at least earnestly seeking that which would make me fulfilled later on. And it took a while. I didn't feel fulfilled maybe 4 to 6 months after quitting, but I felt like I was getting closer. So I think there is a huge persistence aspect there.
What's the secret that kept you committed? Like, that's like the thing that the code I can't crack with people. It's like how to get them to that place where they're committed to, no matter what, to, you know, find that fulfillment or purpose.
For me, I like to call it internal spark or internal fire. And I don't know if it can be defined in a blanket way or universally, but it's the same sense of sacredness that I think people can understand when they think about their children or their relationship with their best friend or their relationship with their parents. Whatever that sacred quality is, you have to be able to apply it to yourself. And from that, you can start to do things that might seem, as my ethics professor in college would say, like a supererogatory act, you know, something that can't rationally be demanded of someone as a Kantian obligation, something superhuman. You can come up with an effort that could be described that way only if you have that deep, sacred sense of your own worth, really. But it's deeper than your own worth. It's like, it's a faith, maybe a leap of faith, that there is a reason that you're in the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to say something that came to mind as you were talking about that is like what I realized in part of my healing journey through the Sinclair Method was when I was drinking like I genuinely didn't have respect for myself. And I used alcohol as a way to like punish myself in some sense, like, or, you know, just show the lack of respect I had for myself. And so I remember on this journey, getting to this mindset, what helped me was like, okay, treat yourself like someone you respect. And so day to day, I would, you know, in order to practice self-care or just, you know, focus on making progress on this journey, it was like, okay, how would I treat my mom or my sister or my best friend? And I would treat myself that way as a way to kind of learn how to be kind to myself, as opposed to these self-destructive cycles that were, you know, going on forever. Because I still turned to those a lot. And I literally had to learn how to be respectful toward myself, because I had never really done that before.